What's going on YouTube? Mike here with iHeart Knives, and in this video we're going to go over the TJ Schwarz Perpetua. This is a Massdrop knife. This was sent to me from Gerald over at Outpost 76. Make sure you go check out his channel if you're not subscribed to him. Most of you guys probably are anyways, but this is a Nitro-V blade, hollow ground. Comes up pretty thin, but still has enough meat to it that you're not going to chip it out or have to worry about the strength of it really. This was Rockwell tested. It has G10 scales. It has basically their own version of the Benchmade axis lock. I find that the Massdrop knives that have this are pretty good, or even like the Ritter RSK Mark II that has their version of the axis lock. They function just as well as the traditional Benchmade axis lock, I find. The lockup on it is really good. There's no up and down play, maybe just a touch of side to side, but if you tighten the pivot down and you really want to dial in the lockup but not have as fun of an action, you can definitely do that. This knife has a really nice action, so you're gonna get a little bit of side to side. I just did a sharpening video on it, and this Nitro-V is exceptional. I've never gotten the quality of edge on a blade so easily. I got it to hair whittling with just the Veneve diamond stones and a 2-micron strop, and like really quickly. I was really surprised. I'm not sure. It could be a combination of heat treat and how many sharpenings have been on this. I think Gerald said he sharpened this 5 or 6 times, maybe more. I'm gonna open up his text log and I can answer a couple more questions. Okay, so 10 to 12 edges on it. The edge that it came with was still pretty good. He told me to sharpen it. He didn't send it with a sharp edge, which I was happy to do. So I'll text Gerald and find out what the HRC was on it, because I don't really know, but my guess is probably somewhere around 60. But either way, this knife has been awesome. I've had it for quite a while now. Actually a little too long. I need to send it back. I'm going to be sending it back this week along with a couple of KME user John's knives. This knife is like, especially for an entry-level knife, for a knife under $200, you really can't beat it. You're gonna get the quality of a Benchmade. The steel is easy to sharpen. It held up really well. It came with a used edge, and I didn't need to sharpen it. I just did because I wanted to get a feel for it. I could have stropped it back a couple more times. I mean, it was getting close to needing a sharpening, but you could always get away with it a little bit longer if you have to. The pocket clip is a decent pocket clip. It has good retention. It's actually like pretty stiff. It fits in the pocket really well. It doesn't rip up your jeans or anything. The G10 on it is fairly smooth. It's not as grippy as like the new Spyderco G10, but this is also a used knife, so I'm not really sure like how much time is on it. It's fairly grippy though. It's contoured, so you're not really gonna have any serious hot spots. The jimping is pretty smooth. It actually reminds me a lot of the Chris Reeve knives, large and Cosi. This is the Insingo blade, and they both have like this sort of sheep's foot blade style. There's a little bit more belly on the Perpetua. There's a little bit more like down swoop, so from like the finger choil, it's kind of like angled down a little bit more than the Inkosi is. The Inkosi is more of like a straight knife. They're both very similar in that regard, but the Perpetua is a nice knife. It's a good user. especially like with the price point. I wouldn't be afraid to beat the hell out of it. Yeah, it's a really nice quality, fairly budget-friendly knife. The Stonewash on it is refined, but it's still a little rugged. Like, you can still see the Nitro-V grind lines, probably when they surface grind it. The striations go across the blade here, and then obviously when they hollow grind it, you know, they rotate, but you don't see any of the hollow grind lines. You do see the horizontal striations on here. So the quality of knife is still good, but when you're paying not a whole lot of money for a knife, you're not going to get the quality of Stonewash that you'd get from like the Chris Reeve knives. It was a lot of fun to carry and use. Gerald, I really appreciate you letting me use it. I would recommend it to anybody who wants to get into the $100 range of knives, maybe wants to stay under $200. This is a perfect knife. You're gonna have fun. You're gonna have like that, you know, that fidget factor with it. You're gonna have a quality lock that's gonna lock up every time. You know, it's fairly easy to take apart. You only have a few screws and an open back, so you can blow it out with air. It's fairly weighty. You know, it's more back heavy, like more handle heavy. Inside there's some milling. It's not enough weight reduction that, you know, that you make it, you know, it's not like a center balanced knife. It's definitely handle heavy, but, you know, nothing to worry about. It actually makes it a little more comfortable. The thing that really blew me away was the steel quality. I don't know if it's just a testament to the heat treat or the Nitro-V steel itself. It seems like a really great compromise of a steel where you get good edge retention, some good corrosion resistance, but still fairly easy to sharpen. Actually, I'd say very easy to sharpen with the right stones. I didn't try it on ceramic stones. I just did the diamond resin bonded stones, but it sharpened up really, really easily. The only thing, maybe really the only gripe I have is the thumb stud on it is a little rough. You know, it'll chew your finger up a little bit. My hands are pretty rough as it is, so it didn't really bother me, but I mean, it's a little rough, but it's a seriously minor gripe. Same with the jimping. Like, it's smooth on the top, but on the sides it's a little rough. Again, no big deal. The spine of the knife here is not rough, but it's not like really well rounded over. You could tell they kind of just like touch it up with a grinder just to get rid of any burr that there might be when they do like the profiling or whatever. But, you know, blade symmetry and geometry is all really even. You know, everything is centered up with the knife, so in that regard, you know, it's pretty great, especially for the money. Grind on it is pretty thin, so you're gonna get quite a few sharpenings out of it before you have to worry about the edge thickness thickening up to the point of, you know, you're not getting a whole lot of use out of it. The good thing though is with the price of the knife, it's still fairly disposable. Let's just do a couple comparisons, but overall, you know, I think it's a great knife. So this is against the Ritter RSK Mark II. They're basically the same size knives. Show it up against the Microtech SOCOM Elite, and you're gonna get half an inch or so more, maybe even like 3/4 of an inch more cutting length out of the Microtech SOCOM Elite, and you're gonna get about 3/4 of an inch more handle length. So, but that's a significantly larger knife. And here it is against the Para 3, and handle length is about the same. You get a little bit more out of the Perpetua, and you're gonna get about a half an inch more blade out of the Perpetua, and about 3/4 of an inch more cutting length, or cutting edge. There it is up against the Delica. This was the knife that Gerald had Rockwell tested for me, and he did some testing with it, and it came out pretty good. This got, I think, 62 HRC, and it's M390. This is an awesome Delica. Here it is up against the Paramilitary 2. This is by far my most abused knife, along with my large Inkosi. I just use the shit out of them. The Paramilitary 2 I like a lot because of the steel, the K390 on this. K390 it's my favorite steel. If I can pick a steel, K390 is the one I'd go with. But this Nitro-V for sharpenability, for the ease of sharpening, this Nitro-V is awesome. It just, the hardness and edge retention on the K390, that's why I adore it so much. And the last is the Benchmade Griptilian, which is very similar. These are the AWT scales, the aluminum scales, very similar in handle length, almost identical. The Perpetua is just about the same cutting edge length as the Griptilian, maybe just a little bit more on the Griptilian, but that overall blade length is longer on the Griptilian. It's just that the cutting edge starts further up for the Griptilian. The Perpetua, it starts almost all the way back. You do feel a difference in the stiffness of the Griptilian, the traditional Benchmade Axis lock. It's a little bit more stiff. But I find that the Ritter RSK Mark II is a smoother lock. Like, I think they call it the Able lock, but just for ease of understanding, we'll just say Axis. The Axis lock on the Ritter RSK Mark II is almost as smooth as this Perpetua. The Perpetua has the smoothest out of the Benchmade Griptilian, Ritter RSK Mark II, and obviously this. So the Griptilian is a very well used knife, so I don't think it's a case of like the Axis lock not getting worked in enough versus the Perpetua. I think it's just the spring tension that they use on the Omega springs is stiffer on the Benchmade Griptilian. I've had this knife for probably almost 6 months, and it's gone in my rotation of knives. I probably used it about 5 days a month, so I've carried it for about 5 days each month. I tried to rotate it at least one time a week for as long as I've had it, and lately I've been carrying it for about a week straight. It's gotten a decent amount of use. I've cut quite a bit with it and stropped, and the sharpening of it was just mind-blowing how easy it was to sharpen, and that was freehand. And you guys can check that video out. I'll have it posted at the same time as the review. So thank you guys for watching. Please remember to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell notification button so you know when I put up a new video, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.